surprises me that you think so highly of Operation Warp Speed.
Are they all trying to get RFK to hyperventilate and pass out so they can point at him and laugh that this is the guy who thinks he can make us healthy? Yeah, that's the goal. They're trying to kill him by having him talk too much because it's clearly very difficult for him to do so. He's like, I did say warp speed is great. He needs a Nobel.
Speed, when as an attorney you attempted to
and like I said, all the rich people cut the line, man. That's, oh my God, this is like giving me flashbacks to my days in lockdown, having to deal with like some of the dumbest vaccine skeptics of all time.
I appreciate that. What about Senator Wyden and I've got a bill because across America,
what about what?
Hospitals are shutting down on their OBGYN services. Try to have a baby. I don't know about all of my other friend states, but in Southside Virginia, you can't find a hospital. Will you work with us to make sure that before OBGYN services are taken out of a rural hospital, there has to be a process and procedure?
I'm happy to work with you on that, Senator, meet with you and see if we can work with you on it. I don't know exactly what the issue is.
Well, again, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who has said he doesn't know how many people died from COVID, doesn't know if the vaccine saved lives, doesn't understand the issue that OBGYN doctors are fleeing rural America because they can't afford it. And with the cuts that are coming up, it's going to be exponentially worse. I would invite you, sir, to come with me to a community health center in Virginia and hear what is on people's mind. They want to get healthier? Absolutely. Count me in. But they also don't want their basic health care removed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Secretary, do you agree with me that the president deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. That was phenomenal.
So let me ask you, but you just told Senator Bennett.
So, Bill Cassidy is like yet another guy who's like a fucking Trump dick rider, so it doesn't even matter. But, you know, this is, I guess, I mean, he's a doctor, but still evil, okay? That's what happens when you are a doctor, but also still evil, as in a Republican.
That the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID.
Wait,
that was a statement.
I did not say that.
Okay, then let me ask, because you also were
Senator, I just want to make clear, I did not say that.
We'll check the record. That's a question of fact. You also said that you were also, as lead attorney for the Children's Health Defense, you engaged in multiple lawsuits attempting to restrict access to the COVID vaccine. Again, it's restrict access. Well, let me ask.
I'm happy to explain why.
I had 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
All right.
It also surprises me because you've canceled, or HHS did, but apparently under your direction, $500 million in contracts using the mRNA vaccine platform that was critical to Operation Warp Speed. Again, an accomplishment that I think President Trump should get a Nobel Prize for. You canceled $500 million in contracts. Now,
yes, Bill Cassidy, by the way, Dr. Bill Cassidy, also voted to confirm RFK, by the way. You know, I don't know if this is a little bit of buyer's remorse here, or if he's just trying to like, is he just trying to posture as like a normal human because he realized how fucking devastating this is?
I grew up in a middle-class family, so $500 million seems, just to cancel, it seems like an incredible waste of money. But it also seems like a commentary upon what the president was attempting, what the president did in Operation Warp Speed, which is to create a platform by which to create vaccines. So this just seems inconsistent that you would agree with me the president deserves a tremendous amount of credit for this.
Is this a question, Senator Cassidy, or is this a speech that you don't want me to answer? Because I want to answer that question.
Please.
If it's a question.
But be tight, please.
First of all, the reason that Operation Warp Speed was genius is it did something nobody had ever been done. I don't think any president but President Trump could do it. It got the vaccine to market.
Oh my God. That's right. That's what happened. She died so young, chat. She died so young. Fucked up. Fucked up how the vaccines took her away from us.
That was perfectly matched to the virus at that time when it was badly needed, because there was low natural immunity and there were people getting very badly injured by COVID.
Oh, so there's, wait, I don't understand. So it's good, but it's also bad. How does that work?
But be tight, please.
First of all, the reason that Operation Warp Speed was genius is it did something nobody had ever been done. I don't think any president, but President Trump could do it. It got the
Yeah, he expedited the murder vaccine, dude. What do you mean? What do you mean? He made sure that the vaccine that literally is murdering people, according to your statements, was brought out super fast. He did that. How does this work?
vaccine to market that was perfectly matched to the virus at that time when it was badly needed, because there was low natural immunity and there were people getting very badly injured by COVID. But it was also brought in therapeutics like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and protocols for treatments and there were no.
Another thing that doesn't make sense is that a completely separate company, another pharmaceutical company that makes ivermectin, had to literally come out and be like, stop buying our shit. And like, you don't do that if you're just invested in making money, right? But they straight up had to be like, please stop buying ivermectin for COVID. It doesn't work. It's not for COVID. So I guess, that pharmaceutical company is good. Or they're somehow also bad because they just didn't want you to take the dewormer.
Mandates. And then
Okay, I have another question. So please, about 15
that's when I began litigating against President Biden's mandates.
It was good when Trump did it. It was bad
Tonight,
when Biden did it. It's awesome. Anyway, tonight it's Harvard 2, Trump 0. We're going to be talking about how a judge ruled that Trump illegally canceled Harvard's funding. And one of the Department of Justice attorneys suing Harvard and his particular interest in Adolf Hitler. That's right. One of Donald Trump's lawyers currently taking Harvard to task for its anti-Semitism is a lover of Adolf Hitler. Interesting. I guess it takes one to know one. Like it takes a real anti-Semite to figure out growing anti-Semitism.
Harvard 2, Trump 0. A federal judge finding the administration broke the law by freezing billions of dollars in research funding at the school in the name of fighting anti-Semitism. Now, it's the same judge who blocked Trump's ban on international students at the school in June. And she writes, quote, "We must fight against anti-Semitism, but we equally need to protect our rights, including our right to free speech. And neither goal nor needs to be sacrificed on the other." The White House says it'll immediately appeal this decision. Christine Quinn joins us at the table now. And Dan, I'm curious, what do you think about this ruling and where it heads now?
Well, look, I think as a legal matter, the judge is probably right. And we've talked about this before, actually, on this show, that the link of the funding on medical funding to anti-Semitism made no sense, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. Of course, the funding being withheld wasn't about anti-Semitism. Their argument in court is, well, anti-Semitism is a legitimate goal to try to fix. And by the way, they may be right about anti-Semitism at Harvard, right, and Columbia, and a lot of these other Ivy League schools. You can believe that, as I do, that there was a real anti-Semitism problem going on for a while at these schools, and also believe that withholding the funding had nothing to do with that. And so that's what the judge here is saying, is that there was no nexus between those two, but there's going to be an appeal on this. I mean, look, this is just round one here. I don't think sort of drawing broad conclusions about sort of what's going to happen now from this particular ruling, and the Trump administration, as you know, really believes it's not over until the Supreme Court weighs in.
On any subject, frankly. But I mean, for the schools that did settle with the administration before ever even attempting to litigate, Columbia University, $221 million, Brown University, $50 million, University of Pennsylvania made some changes. There are other schools that have not settled with Trump but have had their money frozen. It does seem to indicate that there is some benefit, potentially, to just fighting and seeing where the chips fall.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's benefit in a couple of different levels. One, it's just the correct thing to do if you are an institution of higher learning, to stand up and say you're not going to be controlled by the federal government, that the First Amendment means something.
Wow.
Beyond that, there's every, reason to believe that.
Can I get a quick perma? Thank you. No. Wow. It's shocking. It turns out it's actually good to fight against the Trump administration, just on principle. Just on principle, but it turns out you can also be successful as well because they haven't been able to completely destroy the existing courts process. Wow. Let me tell you how shocked I am about this. Wow. Every single administration that caved and capitulated to the fucking ridiculous demands being made by Donald Trump are charlatans. They're cowards. Even if they were to lose, they should have still put up a fight. The fact that they obeyed in advance is insane to me.
That if you settle, the amount you're going to have to pay is going to be very significant. And it's going to be much harder, I think, to get your alumni network and other donors to rally once you've settled versus if you're fighting the good fight on behalf of the First Amendment and academic freedom. And it's interesting, further on in the judge's decision, she references that there could be, we don't know, many Jewish people who have been fired because of the potential cuts in funding, that research into conditions that affect the Jewish community.
Yeah, it's also like Jewish students were expelled in this process for being anti-Zionist. It's just so stupid. Jewish teachers were Jewish teachers had their curriculum changed because they were teaching people about genocide. It's so insane. It's just so... none of it ever made any sense. And I cannot believe that so many people just simply went along with it. And a big part of that is thanks to the Biden administration that set the fucking stage for this. They basically propped it up. They lobbed it up for the fucking Trump administration to take the alley-oop and dunk it.
More than others may be.
Because everyone needs a good Jewish doctor. Right?
And that research may be hampered, and that that withholding the funds could have a more negative impact on the Jewish community.
So let me read what the judge said. Make no mistake, Harvard rejects anti-Semitism and discrimination in all of its form.
Than others may be.
Because everyone needs a good Jewish doctor. Right?
And that research may.
I mean, the dude saying is probably Jewish, but also they're fucking boomers, man. Who gives a shit? I don't fucking care. He's
be hampered, and that withholding the funds could have a more negative impact on the Jewish community.
So let me read what the judge said. Make no mistake, Harvard rejects anti-Semitism and discrimination in all of its form. Excuse me, this is what the Harvard statement says. Harvard rejects anti-Semitism and discrimination in all its forms, actively making structural reforms to eradicate anti-Semitism on campus. But rather than engage with Harvard regarding those ongoing efforts, the government announced a sweeping freeze of funding for medical, scientific, technological, and other research that had nothing at all to do with anti-Semitism. And it does raise the question of, did the administration really try, in good faith, to work with Harvard to rectify the problem, to resolve the anti-Semitism problem, or was the goal to try to get other money, first of all, money, being the main goal? Because Trump has said he wants a certain dollar amount.
Well, they obviously work with other colleges to get concessions on making changes on campus that had obviously on other.
This is the problem and the limitations with liberalism, by the way, in general, like an endless support for Israel, is that liberal administrations themselves made concessions on the dangerous conflation of Zionism and Judaism, and therefore they left themselves open for tremendous amounts of attack because they were also invested in like purging anti-Semitism, or rather not anti-Semitism, but anti-Israel sentiment on college campuses. And I've yet to see a single fucking serious synopsis from any mainstream institution that has looked at this with a little bit of honesty. Not a single one of these guys at the New York Times or CNN, even on this panel, not a single one of them go, hey, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but we have to take some fucking accountability and realize that our endless, unlimited advocacy to make sure that, like, people could just like promote Israel when it was doing completely evil shit, created this environment and allowed the Trump administration to cynically weaponize fears of anti-Semitism that were also cynically weaponized in the administration prior, maybe not to the same degree, but cynically weaponize fears of anti-Semitism and do away with funding for these institutions. That's it. You have to be truthful. You have to be honest. If you can't do anything else, you have to just say the truth. And it was so frustrating for me when the Biden administration was in charge and Israel was doing death and destruction, unlimited death and destruction. And they arrested 3,500 student protesters under the Biden administration, claiming that they were being anti-Semitic. If that is your starting point, then you don't have a lot of disagreements with Scott Jennings. There is no disagreement there with the liberal panelists and the Republican one. The Republican one is at least like more. The Republican one is at least like trying to take the initiative to combat it. If you also believe being anti-Israel is anti-Semitic and it needs to be dealt with, then why the fuck are you complaining that Trump is dealing with it, right?
The campuses that had obviously made serious mistakes. My view is there'll be an appeal. I don't know where the legal case is going to shake out. I think.
Yeah, no, it's true. As is the case with a lot of stuff. As is the case with a lot of American politics that revolves around the left flank of the duopoly, consistently conceding to the framework of the right. That the right-wing position is more logically coherent than the liberal position. That's it. If you think that anti-Semitism is a major problem on these college campuses, then why shouldn't the Trump administration actually try to punish these places? Maybe you also don't think anti-Semitism was a huge problem on these campuses. Maybe you didn't think that at all. Maybe you just wanted the annoying students to shut the fuck up and let you love your favorite apartheid state in peace. Because allowing them to continue protesting on campus with very reasonable demands was creating this unique problem that your donors were very frustrated by. A demand for divestment was honest. It came from an honest place. Just like saying Israel is a genocidal state is an honest statement. It's just the truth. Israel's doing a genocide. Israel's an apartheid state before it even did this genocide, this version of the genocide. And the students that were trying to actively rid their institution of higher learning and its entanglements with this apartheid state doing a genocide were correct. They were right. But you didn't want to do it because of your own financial investments.
This has been really embarrassing for Harvard. I mean, now you have a federal judge saying anti-Semitism is intolerable. It is clear, even based solely on Harvard's own admission, that Harvard has been plagued by anti-Semitism, could have done a better job dealing with the issue. I mean, it is now widely known throughout our entire society that our nation's flagship university, perhaps formerly, was plagued by anti-Semitism.
See? Yeah, there you go. No, you deserve it. If you're a fucking libtard and you're sitting on that panel and you spent any moment leaning into this bullshit narrative, you fucking deserve to get talked down to by Scott Jennings, because he is a fucking demon, but at least he's more morally consistent on this issue. Okay? That's it. That's it. Scumbags, all of them.
This administration was willing to call it out and fight it out. It's a fight worth having.
As you just read, Harvard acknowledged that in a very lengthy report that it created itself.
But they would never have done it if it hadn't been for
to
Trump.
your point,
They would never have admitted it if it hadn't been for
See, he's right. He's right. Liberals are too cowardly to actually take the initiative and combat anti-Semitism, unlike my big, beautiful Trump, who cares about anti-Semitism.
Trump.
That's not true.
That's not
To
true.
what you just read.
Chronologically, that's not true.
Exactly. Chronologically, factually, that's not true. What you just read indicated that yes, it is embarrassing to Harvard, but Harvard themselves acknowledged it.
I think the real embarrassment to Harvard was Harvard itself acknowledging that there was like a significant crisis of anti-Semitism on their college campuses. A real shame. Obviously, there are worse villains here. Obviously, there are significantly worse actors here. Columbia has tarnished what remains of its legacy forever. It's over. Harvard itself also capitulated to the administration early on. They restructured their Middle Eastern Studies department. That doesn't get a lot of fucking play here. They don't talk about that. When Trump made demands, Harvard first capitulated. Only after they came for the grants did Harvard actually choose to fight back. Columbia didn't even do that. Oh. So there is another institution out there that's even worse than Harvard, and that's Columbia. Okay? But it's fucking bullshit. These guys showed the world that they don't care about their students. They don't care about protecting the well-being of their students at all. Because if they did, they would have come out and said, you're being fucking ridiculous. There is a level of anti-Semitism that exists in all facets of American society. Our college campuses, by your own admission, are way more woke than the average place, okay? Than the fucking Jiffy Lube down the corner. The notion that there was a tremendous amount of increased anti-Semitism on college campuses is completely and utterly ridiculous. It is a cultivated fake narrative. The real issue on these college campuses is that Zionist groups were doxing students, harming them openly. They had doxing trucks on like October 9, 2023, plastering people's faces on college campuses for writing an editorial piece that was damn near identical to Haaretz's editorial piece. Like almost identical. People were fucking getting fired. Melissa, what's her name? Barrero? The actress that worked on Scream was fired from her upcoming Scream project, Melissa Barrera, because she posted Jewish Israeli Holocaust scholar Roz Segal's piece about Israel doing a genocide on the Jewish Currents magazine. She posted a screenshot from the Jewish Currents magazine, and she got fired. And they didn't even say like she got fired for, we're parting ways in an amicable way. They openly stated that that was the reason why they were firing her, because they said that was anti-Semitic. People were fucking falling left and right. It was insane. We were there. We saw it. And liberals totally got swept away with this fucking fake panic. Fake panic whipped up, fake hysteria whipped up with the express purpose of offering unlimited and unconditional support to the apartheid state that everyone who was familiar with its ways was aware was gearing up for a genocide. And it's not like they hid that. They said it openly. They said, we're fighting human animals. That's what the Secretary of Defense said. Defense Minister said, Yoav Galan, with an arrest warrant from the ICC, by the way, even though he freely travels to the United States of America all the time. He said, we're fighting human animals. We must shut off their food. We must shut off their water. We must shut off their electricity. That was a week after October 7. Benjamin Netanyahu said, we're fighting Amalek. We have to kill all of them, even their children. Another war criminal. There was an arrest warrant at the ICC. Then they ended up killing hundreds of journalists, medical workers, arresting doctors, torturing them, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, many of which are children. Majority are women, children, and the elderly, the overwhelming majority. And we're still in it. And the liberals got us here. The liberals who refused to reckon with that reality got us here. There were many brave people along the way that spoke out, that put their career on the line. Many people lost their careers because there's a fucking polio vaccine. Yeah, I know. You're talking about the unimaginable success of the marvels of modern medicine. Andrew's trying to share his perspective of Fossabot as a hater. In March 2021, Detroit was slam bad. We got told in the hospital to not wear masks in the hallways and couldn't get any gear we needed to do our jobs. We knew from the jump we were cooked regarding COVID. If we couldn't even contain it in the hospital, we knew the public would be fucked. We needed a China-style lockdown, and people act like 6 feet apart, and masking was draconian law. It should have been even more strict, but Trump and Biden dropped the ball. I got the vax the first week. Yeah. I got the vaccine as soon as I was able to get it. Like as soon as it was my turn. I didn't even hesitate. I don't understand how people look at that and go, nah, dude. This thing that's like fucking murking people left and right and creating lifelong complications for the lucky people who don't get vented and then die. Okay, I don't want it. I don't want it to fucking choke slam my ass. Oh,